Well, that's not good.
Hello and welcome. This is Travis. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. Going to be doing a kind of unboxing, or it isn't really a box, but a opening of a art supply product. And today we have a set of 4 screen tones. So screen tones, if you're not familiar with it, it's known as tone, dot tone, or gradation tones that you use in comic books and particularly manga, as you can kind of see here. If you ever read manga, I'll also try to put some reference images up so you can kind of see it a little bit better. But it's basically these tones to add shade or gradation or even backgrounds to your actual physical comic book art. So today I actually have a set. Usually, from what I found, if you go to certain websites, Amazon or like a more of an art website like Jet Pins, you might see them sell these screens, deleter screens in particular, separately. I bought these on Amazon, and they come in a set of 4. I just want to give these a whirl. As you've probably seen in some of the drawing card videos, I actually do that traditionally, so not digital pen and ink. And I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try using screen tones. So today I'm going to go ahead and open these up, check these out, and I also wanted to do a review video because when I was originally looking at this set in particular, I wanted to see what the tones actually look like, and unfortunately I couldn't get a good close-up of what they look like, so I'm going to go over each of them, and at the end of the episode, I'm going to add in some footage from a draw card that's going to be coming up where I am going to be using the screen tone. So I'm just going to get my handy scissors here. Try not to cut the screens. And I think I mentioned it before, but I want to say it again. Even though this is like tone set, this is like deleter. It's the same thing if you were getting them individually. This is just a set. And I don't have the millimeter size off the top of my head, but let's get a handy dandy ruler real quick and we'll figure that out. So as you can see, there is a margin area on the left here and at the top. So I'm just going to give of the actual live dot area here. So that's 9 inches there. And let me use my T-square because this is bigger than 12 inches. So it's roughly 13 3/4 of an inch, inches in length. So this is going to be the first screen we're going to be talking about, which I believe is coded SC30 on the front of the packaging here. So that's going to be the lightest. So let's see. Looks like it's still individually wrapped. What's also nice here too is if you're not familiar with this, or this might be a little bit daunting, they do give you some instructions on how to apply this as well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to try and get as close as I can. This is a very light dot pattern. You can probably barely see it. And the way these come, and I'm actually kind of familiar with some things like this. I've used to work at sign shops, and if you're not familiar with how signs are made, a lot of times you would have like printed vinyl, and on the front side you have your graphic, on the back you have a backing paper. So it's kind of similar as that you have your graphic, your dots here, and on the back is your backing paper. So if I can get this. Let's see. There we go. I'm not going to go ahead and peel that. So the way this works is you would actually cut away what you actually want to end up putting the screen tone over. And you don't want to use all of this. You actually want to save this. And the total price I think I paid for this, I think it might be $27, $28. So you try to get the most out of this that you can. So you would cut away what you want, you put over your drawing, and you could either do it one or two ways. You can either pencil on top of it and figure out the shape you want. When you put your drawing, let me go grab a drawing real quick. We'll do something like that. Okay, so this is just for reference. I'm not actually going to put the tone on this. This to me is done. But let's say I was going to put the tone on Jean Grey Phoenix. I would either trace out with pencil of what I want to cut. Then I would take a cutting mat, put this on top of a cutting mat, and take a razor. Let me see if I have something. Here we go. So just a basic. They do sell kits, to actually go with this. So Deleter makes their own kits. But to be honest, if you have a razor blade, great. It's just an X-Acto knife. This one I recently broke off the blade, so it's a fresh blade. So if I was going to do it, this would be perfect because you want this as sharp as possible when you go and cut. So say if I penciled in my shape, I would take it, cut out what I need, then I place it on top. And I'm going to show that in the demo video towards the end. So this guy is my lightest one. And I'm going to put this back in the protective sleeve. Let's go on to the next one. This will be SE31. So as you can see, they get darker as you go. All right. All right. So this one you can see a little bit better. And maybe if I can have another example. So you kind of overlay that. You can kind of get a guess of what it would look like, but you can see. Let me bring the other one back. Yeah. So the SE31 is at the top. We have the SE30 at the bottom. So there's a slight change in the dot thickness, as you can see. There it goes. Now we're going to the darker tones, because these are probably the darkest. This is SE33 I'm opening up. Yeah, so this is a lot darker, so compared to the 31. Making sure this focuses for you. There we go. Just want to make sure the camera gets the noticeable change in the dot pattern. And this is the last one. The handy back instructions, all mostly in Japanese. Don't need it. I don't think I mentioned this to begin with, but in terms of what you would use these tones for, is mostly to give shade or texture to things, and they actually have different versions of these. If this goes well with, this goes well with my art that I've been doing traditionally, I might consider doing the other volumes. There we go. So this is the last one. This is going to be obviously the darkest one. Yeah. So I will say it's a lot of waste in here. Looks like if you were buying these individually, they would traditionally just come with the deleter screen, packaging, and I guess they just stuff it all in this one main envelope. But it's a lot of extra waste. That's not a big deal. It really isn't. I wouldn't throw these away. I would actually hang on to these. One, because when you start to cut these pieces up, you're going to be left with different chunks of screen tone, and you're going to want to keep track of it. So I'd recommend hold on to the sleeves, and just make your life easier. And also, you might even want to hold on to the backing material, or even write down on each bag what the number of the screen tone is, so you know what you're using. It might be helpful. So here we have that drawing from the draw card where I draw Vegeta in what's the word? Uzaru form. It's like this great ape form that he has. Anyway, so I have my drawing and had the darkest screen from the 4-pack. And I'm just overlaying it over the drawing, and I'm roughly sketching out the area that I'm going to need to cut out. And something to keep in mind when you do that, you actually want to go, when you're drawing around the area, you actually want to give it more area than what you actually need. You don't want to trim it to the exact size of what you're trying to cover up. And you're going to see that more in just a second. But also something to keep in mind too, try to maximize the amount of material that you're using. As you can see, I'm trying to keep it or really contain the amount of material I'm using to this one corner of the sheet. And also at the end of it, I'm going to save any residual pieces. Even if they're pretty small, I might need them for something, who knows. So right here, I sped this video very fast. This is just me cutting. Just something you should know. I would prefer to use a cutting mat, but unfortunately didn't have one available, so a piece of cardboard will work out in this case. Just make sure it's a pretty thick piece of cardboard before you start cutting into anything. Just a note, just while I'm thinking about it, you don't have to trim off that white piece. When you peel that off, that's going to be able to be cut away as well. So now we're back in our regular segment of it, and we're going to go back to the drawing, and I'm going to be starting to nervously, and you're going to see that in a second, nervously place this. This was kind of nerve-wracking because I was really scared for no reason, because this is actually way easier than what I thought it was going to be. So I'm trying to match up the pencil. Oh, and as far as what I'm doing here, I'm using an old gift card that I had laying around, used gift card. I hold on to them for things like this. So what I use this for, when you peel the backing off the screen tone, it has adhesive on the back side, and you place it on top, place it as flat as you can, and then you take your card, or if you have the deleter kit, there's a little wedge that comes with it that you just run over the drawing, basically to get any of the wrinkles out and make sure it is completely flat to the surface of your drawing. So this is going to be the more nerve-wracking part for people, is using the X-Acto knife to cut away the excess of the screen tone to get your drawing 100% of what you're actually intending it to look like. So as you can see, I'm running the blade over the lines, and then I am actually, because I've done similar things like this before with vinyl from a print shop, so I'm actually using the blade to move my excess, because when you put this, the screen tone down, it's not fully adhered. You can actually still
pry it from the drawing. And if you're not comfortable doing this part, I would recommend to practice. I've actually had some practice doing this. So the trick is you just gotta use just as little as pressure as you can, and you have a really sharp X-Acto blade as well. If your blade's sharp and you're going a light pressure over the screen tone, you don't need to cut into the drawing. You'll eventually build a feel for it, and you'll be able to basically get through this just fine. So here we're going through our other shoulder pad, and you're watching me struggle with taking the backing paper off. Again, I'm taking off the backing paper. I'm kind of lining up. Keep in mind, I did give myself a lot of wiggle room on the excess around it, using that gift card to make sure it's adhered to the drawing. And then I'm going to grab my X-Acto knife, my razor, my box cutter, whatever you want to call it. Just need to adjust the blade. So again, I'm using the lightest of pressure to actually cut away the excess of this, and I'm just going over the lines, taking my time. This is not something you're normally going to rush through. Yeah, we're just having a little tough time lifting the edge, but if you have the deleter kit, there's tools to help you. It's like a little pick, almost looks like a dental pick, like they use at a dental office to clean teeth. But you use it to remove some of the excess. Like, once you cut that away, you can use that pick, that edge of that pick, to lift up the edge. But I'm decent enough with this blade where at the end of it, you can see I'm just using the tip of my X-Acto knife to kind of just push it up and lift up, and then I pull away the excess, and I do it very carefully as well. Okay, so this part was a little harder than I thought, because there's a lot of curves, there's a lot of little winding paths. So I'm just taking my time, trying to make the cuts as skillfully as I can in this scenario, because there's a lot of tight corners of where I'm trying to cut the excess away. In hindsight, for me, I probably didn't need to cut that much extra space for that. But again, this is part of this whole, learning process with this material. So this is the part where I start to panic, because there was one part that I was not supposed to lift up, and you're going to see that in a second as well. Because I thought it was something that was going to happen with the tooth right there, but yeah, I'm going to have a few more of those little scares here and there in a second. So having trouble with that little bit in that corner, as you can see. So when I go ahead and remove it in a second, you're going to see that an unintended piece lifted up right by that tongue there. So and I was panicking, truth be told, this part, but something I kind of realized, I took a little bit of that actually came off, that little piece, that little bit of screen tone that came off, and I kind of nudged it in there, as you see, and just kind of patted it down. Boom. You don't really notice anything. I do go over it a couple times with the card. It looks fine. That part was, funny enough, pretty forgiving. So I just got my last piece, and just adhere as usual. Again, same process. Take the backing paper off, lay it on top of your area that you want covered, cut away the excess gently as possible. And lastly, what you could do is just gently peel away that excess. So let's go wrap up this video, y'all. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one. Thank you.